Cave diving is not for the faint-hearted. Scuba diving, which is the first vital step for cave diving in itself, is an intimidating experience. However, scuba enthusiasts accept the fears that come along so they can fully embrace the sea with its beauty and horrors. Oceans are vast, and scuba divers have a limited supply of oxygen that can be wasted if they panic and don't act quickly. Drowning is a painful experience as you are deprived of oxygen and your organs fail one by one. Accidents are unusual during diving, but they can't be ruled out completely. Between 1969 to 2007, there were 368 divers who died during cave diving. There were instances when even the most skilled divers had to accept their defeat. So with that being said, here's a list of 5 cave diving stories that went horribly wrong. The Deep Gallery Incident. This incident might be the most unsettling of all the underwater stories. A group of friends decided to explore Pagonica Bay in the Croatian Republic. Pagonica Bay is a beautiful water body bordering the island of Salta. Not only did it have shimmering water, but it was also rich with marine life and many underwater cave systems, which made it an ideal spot for divers to explore. On September 10, 2002, a group of 5 friends, accompanied by 2 diving instructors, set on a sailing boat to discover this location. This diving party had mixed experiences, ranging from very trained individuals to ones with no prior experience. Miroslav Kuklis, a relatively more skilled diver, took a preliminary dive before dinner just to look around. He found the entrance to the cave system, which looked like an enlarged hole in the seabed. Its entrance might seem fascinating and friendly, but it is in fact one of the most dangerous underwater cave networks to exist. Once you're inside, it branches off into 2 galleries, the shallow gallery and the deep gallery. Large deposits of very fine silt were present in those passages, making it very hard to see around. This makes it even more easier to get lost in this series of labyrinths. Miroslav came back to the surface and discussed the prospects of visiting this cave with his friends at dinner. The group had mixed opinions about his plans. However, after dinner, 2 pairs of divers entered the water when the captain was taking a nap. Everyone except Miroslav entered the cave portal, but immediately decided that they were ill-equipped to explore the vast system. So instead of venturing further into the cave system, they exited the cave and began observing marine life instead. When the group of friends went back to the boat, they were unable to find Miroslav and understood that he might have went to the cave. After a failed attempt to find him, they contacted the police, who arrived at 8 o'clock in the morning the next day. 2 police divers had went in to find him. However, only one of them resurfaced, empty-handed. After some time, a proper search team was dispatched to rescue the missing policeman and the victim. Both bodies were eventually recovered, with the police diver being found in the shallow gallery and Miroslav from the deeper gallery. It's speculated that the police diver at some point had gotten separated in the shallow gallery, and that silt kick-up had brought visibility down to 0, making it even more difficult to navigate his way back to the entrance. In addition to other side passages that leads to other areas of the cave, and possibly a panic state, sadly, the police diver couldn't find his way out and tragically drowned. Astonishingly, when Miroslav was found in the deep gallery, he had a diving knife stabbed in his chest. The police first treated this as a homicide. However, a widely accepted theory is that since he ran out of oxygen and knew that his life would end in the cave, he killed himself so he wouldn't have to go through the agony of drowning. His diving computer was recovered and showed that at some point he couldn't find his way back to the shallow gallery as he was swimming back and forth in the deep gallery up until the time of his death. A deadly rescue. This incident occurred in the Bushman's Hole in South Africa, which is the 3rd deepest underwater cave, extending to 271 meters. The Bushman's Hole is submerged in fresh water and located in the Northern Cape Province. It's believed to be one of the darkest places on the planet, owing to its extreme depth, which attracts a lot of passionate divers. One of them was Dave Shaw, an Australian scuba and technical diver. During his first dives there, he found the remains of another diver who died nearly a decade earlier, named Dion Dreyer, a South African diver who had perished in the cave in 1994. Dave promised Dion's father to bring back his remains, and in 2005, he set out to fulfill his promise to this deadly cave. He recorded the entire rescue attempt using an underwater camera that later helped scientists to determine the cause of his death. Dion's body was present at a depth of 270 meters, and Dave broke the record of the deepest cave diving, a record that would later claim his life. According to Dave's understanding, since the corpse was at least 10 years old and just reduced to a skeleton, it wouldn't float upwards. However, this wasn't the case. As Dion's body was protected by his wetsuit, it turned into a soapy substance that began to float, and Dave soon found himself entangled during the recovery attempt. Dave had to use both of his hands during the recovery of Dion, while his underwater light got entangled with the bag on his body. Since the equipment involves heavy wires, it became difficult for him to free himself. He was also using a rebreather, which is an equipment that lets you recycle air that ran out of oxygen afterwards. Shirley, who is a diver accompanying him on this mission, tried to find Dave, but there was no sign of him. Since he had dropped to 250 meters, his computer system crashed and he had to ascend. 3 days later, both bodies were retrieved. One of Dave's friends that were involved in the rescue was left with permanent damage that impaired his balance. The post-mortem also confirmed that Dave died due to respiratory issues. His death caught the media's attention, and a documentary called Dave's Not Coming Back was produced in 2020. Sterkfontein Cave. This case might be the most disturbing one because the victim was very close to being saved. The title might have you think that this story revolves around Sterkfontein Cave. They're situated about an hour's drive from Johannesburg and Pretoria in South Africa. These caves are not only prime spots for scuba diving, but many fossil fuels relating to ancient humans have been found there. Many discoveries, like animal bones, skulls, and human fossils, date back to 4 million years, the early years of humanity. There is one important rule that divers shouldn't ignore when it comes to cave diving. Never let go of the safety line, also known as the penetration line, that is strung through the entire area. These lines guide the diver when exploring an underwater cave so they don't lose their way and can retreat back to the entrance. However, Peter Verschall, a 29-year-old experienced scuba diver, didn't pay attention to this guideline. On September 29, 1984, Peter, along with his 2 friends, set out to explore the Sterkfontein caves. He was told by friends to stick to the safety lines, but he let his curiosity take the better of him. While exploring the cave, Peter let go of the safety line twice in the attempt to explore passages and was retrieved both times by his friends. However, when he let go of the line the 3rd time, his fellow divers were unable to locate him. Peter had inadequate equipment, which consisted of a single aqua lung and an underwater torch. He swam his way through unknown tunnels before finally discovering that he was lost. With no idea of how to exit the maze, he realized that he was running low on oxygen. In a stroke of luck, Peter discovered a small island above the waterline in the blind tunnel of the main cavern. He took refuge in this tiny sandy area, waiting in hopes to be rescued by his friends. Meanwhile, on the other end, his friends took the help of local police, who then searched the cave regularly for 6 weeks. At one point, one of the police divers passed within 40 yards of Peter without knowing. When his body was finally retrieved, it was believed that he must have been alive for at least 3 weeks. Sadly, it was confirmed that he died of starvation, waiting for somebody to rescue him. Knowing that Peter may be at the end of his life as he was alone in this dark cave, he left a goodbye note written on the sand for his mother and wife. The note read, "I love you, Cheryl and Ma." The Plura Cave Incident. In 2014, a group of 5 divers entered the Plura Cave system in central Norway. It's one of the most dangerous underwater caves with an astonishing depth of 130 meters in ice-cold water that ranges from 2 to 4 degrees Celsius in temperature. Once you enter Plura Pond and cover a distance of 500 meters, you reach a cave called Steinugelflaget. It is only a feat to be accomplished by highly trained individuals, as it is a pitch-black monster with very tight passages. Even a tiny tear in the swimsuit at a depth such as this can cause death on the spot. The 5 members were split unevenly into groups of 2 and 3. The first pair was led by a diver named Grongvist. At 110 meters depth, he realized that his fellow swimmer, Hutarinen, was nowhere to be seen. He turned back and found him using his torch to signal distress as he was entangled with a cord. Grongvist tried to free him, but as he was trying to change his mouthpiece, Hutarinen helplessly swallowed the ice-cold seawater, leading to his sudden death. Grongvist decided that carrying his body all alone was an impossible task. He also knew that when the second group will arrive to see the dead body of their friend, they will panic. Luckily, he managed to move his body out of the way and resurface safely. When the second group of divers arrived, one of the divers, named Yari Uzumaki, started to panic, presumably upon discovery of Hutarinen's body. During a panic attack, the body starts to consume oxygen very rapidly, and so divers are advised to keep calm even in the most distressing scenarios. The fourth diver saw Uzumaki in the panic and tried to help him, but was unsuccessful. Shortly after, Uzumaki also died in the same spot that Hutarinen did. The remaining divers went back the way they came instead of going forwards towards the exit. This took 11 hours to reach the surface instead of 5. All 3 survivors had to be hospitalized due to decompression sickness. The Norwegian and British authorities called off the rescue operation to bring back the 2 dead bodies as it was too risky. However, the 3 friends were determined to retrieve the bodies of their friends, so they made an undercover plan. The team included 11 Finns and 12 Norwegian divers who reached Norway at different times so they can go in unnoticed. They finally rescued both bodies at 2 separate attempts, amounting to a total of 101 hours. This moving story of fearlessness and brotherhood is captured in a film called Diving into the Unknown. The Mount Gambier Incident. This accident is another instance of how human curiosity can force us to undertake dangerous risk. It dates back to 1973 when 9 divers decided to explore a flooded sinkhole known as the Shaft near Mount Gambier in South Australia. To describe it in words, the entrance was a small hole above ground that leads to an underwater cave channel. It's extremely hard to miss if you weren't specifically looking for it. Even this discovery was by accident. A horse stumbled across it, and the sinkhole's entrance was widened by humans over the years. Since the shaft is located on private property, its use is only limited to divers that are authorized by the CDAA, also known as the Cave Divers Association of Australia. Out of the 9 divers who initially wanted to explore the cave, only 8 of them decided to proceed with cave diving, while the last person stayed behind to prepare meals or assist the others in any way possible. The walls of the shaft were covered with loose silt that hindered visibility, and the surrounding was pitch black except for sunlight that entered through the top but discontinues at increasing distances. Initially, all was going well, but they purposely neglected the cave line, which didn't extend all the way to the cave floor. On top of that, they were not equipped with extra oxygen tanks, which was quite unsafe. One of the divers, Robert Smith, started noticing the effects of nitrogen narcosis and resurfaced with 3 other divers who were also facing oxygen shortage. That left 4 others inside who everyone knew will run out of oxygen eventually. In the failed attempt, Glenn Millett tried to go back and provide them with an additional air supply. However, due to zero visibility, he had to retreat, and sadly, the other 4 divers died in the cave. The biggest challenge of being trapped underwater is not to panic. This is why trained divers are taught to remain calm even on the most stressful occasions. Of course, for many of us who never had to experience this type of danger, it's difficult to comprehend the situation that divers face and how it affects us mentally. Cave diving can be a fun experience if done properly and followed by all safety instructions. It's still not void of risk though, and can transform even a fun experience into a disaster very quickly. Thanks for watching our Late Night Top 5 channel. We're a new channel and would love to have your support by subscribing, liking, or simply dropping a comment down below. To watch more interesting late night videos, click the links to continue watching more.